L-O-V-E. Love is a solution, so set your love free with the L-O-V-E. For the evolution and blessed unity with the L-O-V-E. Love is a solution, so set your love free with the L-O-V-E. For the evolution and blessed unity.
Good morning. Welcome to the Self-Love Show. Good morning, self-lovers. I'm your host, Dawn Light, and today is going to be a great show. But for those that are new, I want to welcome you. And for those that are our longtime viewers, we're so thankful for you and have so much gratitude that you tune in weekly and listen. And, the umbrella of self-love is so big and vast, and it's so many types of conversations and ways of being that goes so deep. And it's really the heart of it is really getting to the heart of our relationship with God and the beloved. Our personal relationship with self-love is really about removing the barriers where we have barriers against love inside our consciousness. And so this show is to promote all the different types of modalities and people and situations and conversations, because it's not one size fits all. We really want to support you in your awakening to self-love, greater and greater and greater self-love, which shows up as greater and greater capacity to hold loving in all our relationships. And our relationships are where our richness live, right? That's where our riches live. When we have greater a capacity to have the deepest, rich, fulfilled relationships, that's self-love. And so, yes, I just want to celebrate that. And just in case you don't know, we're on all the platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the places. So please go like, share, and subscribe, because that really helps us get the message of self-love out to those that might need it the most. And so today's show is going to be great. I have a juicy topic to talk and speak on, honest, beautiful conversation on. And Trish is going to do the intro. So thanks for joining us today.
Yay. All right. So I'm so excited to introduce this show. Are you experiencing a limiting narrative in your relationship that holds you back from greater love? Are you encountering a constraining story within your relationship that prevents you from embracing deeper love? The ego, consisting of the mind, emotions, and material residing with the unconscious, has the propensity for taking life experiences and interpreting them such that the conclusions we draw become prison bars of limitation and restriction, holding us in the illusion of unworthiness. These become the matrix of beliefs that create our story of limitation and lack. Come explore the narrative that could be holding you back in today's show. Light Amora, my love, and many other people's loves, is an extraordinarily gifted spiritual psychology coach and self-love activist. She specializes in supporting high-achieving women that struggle with unresolved trauma in their background that affects their marriages and partnerships. She received a bachelor's in psychology from the California Coast University in Santa Ana and has attended a master's level program called Soul-Centered Living from the University of Santa Monica in spiritual psychology. Dawn is an expert in theta healing with 15 years of experience. Her focus is getting to the roots of the trauma through spiritual psychology coaching to reveal the authentic self and live a fully expressed, love-centered life. She is launching her program, Unleash Your Sovereign Queen, which helps women rewrite the story of distrust and come home to love. Dawn lives in Santa Rosa with her husband of 20 years and their 12-year-old son. Yeah, Dawn. Woo! Tell us how to move this out of the way. And I just want to say that my internet is really choppy, so I'm going to let you have at it because I trust you, and I know everyone here trusts you too. I love you.
Thank you for that warm introduction.
Oh.
Awesome. Thank you, love. Well, today. Oh, there we go. Hi. Okay, so today's show is just going to be me. I'm going to give you a deep, beautiful conversation around, you know, what inspired me to bring this forward is thinking about relationships and the barriers in loving that can create relationships. And I'm having a lot of, beautiful insights come forward around relationships. And the year will be our 20-year anniversary for us. And that's a huge milestone to accomplish. And I really want to help others that desire marriage and relationships to achieve greater and greater capacity of loving in their containers and in their relationships. So I really wanted to bring forward this, like, is there a limiting narrative or a limiting story that holds you back from experiencing the greatest capacity of love in your relationship? Or have you experienced yourself having a long-standing pattern that keeps resurfacing as the same thing over and over again in multiple relationships? You can kind of start as you become an adult and get into your adult years, you start to notice these kinds of cyclical patterns that start to surface. And this is where you get to put your finger on the pulse and go, huh, there's something here for me. What is this about for me? And so I can speak honestly about me and my experience, right? And, one of the most painful narratives that I was so used to perpetuating was how a man can't be there for me. And I witnessed my mom do this in her own way in my childhood, and that's where I learned it from, right? And God bless my mom, love her so much, but I witnessed her struggle in her marriage and in her way of relating, and not because she's a loving person. So that was very confusing because I just thought, oh, if you just show up in loving, then that's enough. Well, in fact, it takes two to show up in loving. And, there was a lot of codependency and a lot of intensity and a lot of abuse narrative. And really, it comes from looking at her background and her childhood. And I perpetuated my parents' story of, trauma in my own relationship, even though I had untangled from the choosing really traumatic relationships by that point. By the time I married my husband, I was very clear with the universe. I was done with toxic relationships. So I was in a loving container. I was with a beloved, with a loving relationship, but there was still this overlay in my consciousness of distrust, and distrust that a man could really provide, that a man could really hold me, that a man could really fully meet me and fully hear me and fully show up for me. And really deep down, guess what? That was me not fully showing up for me. And that was what it was really about. I had to get in there and get down in the roots of all of that, and heal those really deeper places in consciousness that was holding me back from experiencing trusting myself, which opens the door to trust your partner. And so this was the narrative that was playing out in my life for a very long time. And it was so painful because we would get to this place of like, you just don't trust me. And he in my outer relationship would reflect that to me. And it was so painful because I was like, yes, I do. I do trust you. But deep down, it was a distrust I held towards God. It was a distrust I held. It was a tongue twister. Distrust I held towards myself. And gosh, so freaking painful. So freaking painful that I didn't know how to get through it and what it was for the longest time. And this is why curriculum takes a long time to heal sometimes, because you can have a pulse for it, you can understand it, bits and pieces of it, you can read a ton of books, you can take workshops, you can work on yourself actively, and it still can be this subtle layer of unconscious material that you're still processing. And sometimes people can get really upset that, gosh, why am I doing all this personal work on myself and nothing's changing? Well, you've got to give yourself, you know, gentleness, kindness, compassion, that just because you're aware of the pattern now doesn't mean that it's just going to instantly fall away. Sometimes you're dealing with lifetimes of curriculum and karma and, residual material in the conscious and the unconscious, that it has to do with who knows where from, but it's really the karma resides in the emotional layers and the emotional material as it surfaces. And you want to give yourself an opportunity to clear it out and to work with it. And so every relationship brings us an aspect of ourself into view in the perceptual filter of how we see our relationships, and the things that surface in our perceptual filter, what we make of it is actually the curriculum we're meant to work with. How we relate to the issue is the issue. And so it's not the outside circumstance, it's how we're relating to it. And I can move it back into my conversation towards how was I relating to myself that was creating that outer narrative that my husband couldn't show up for me, because which is so not true. He's absolutely 100% showing up and 100% shows up for our marriage. And that's so amazing to say, but I wasn't letting him for the longest time because I was overcompensating, overdoing, overgiving. I was I was hogging up the energetic space because of my distrust. And that was a pattern of over responsibility that I learned in my childhood. I watched my mom do it. And so I just energetically learned that pattern and thought it was never a spoken thing. It was never like my mom said, "Okay, so you need to do everything so that they do nothing." Never, that was never said to me ever, but it was energetically shown to me. And so I adopted that strategy thinking that's what a woman does in partnership. And no, that's not what a woman does. No, 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 no. And if you find yourself doing that, if you find yourself, you're the one always overcompensating, overgiving, making excuses, doing it for them, doing more than your fair share and then some, because you don't believe they can, or they will show up for you, or they'll be late. So I'll just do it because I know it's more of a hassle for them to do it. Like stuff like that. It's so ingrained and unconscious. But I was doing that. I didn't believe that, just down to the simplest things like, I'll give this as an example early on, early on in our relationship. A bill was missed being paid. And so I then observed that, made a judgment that, oh, doesn't pay his bills, right? It's a judgment towards me paying my bills on time. And so I took that and overlaid it on him and projected it on him. And then that was so not okay that I did that. I didn't know any better at the time. And so then it became a story, a self-fulfilling prophecy that, see, I know he can't show up for me in this way. So, and it really, what it, the deep down underneath it, it was about my father never showing up for me financially. And my father always really said horrible things out loud verbally to my whole family about money, that was really, really toxic. And he was, you've all heard the term strings attached. Well, that was definitely my father. He had strings attached about everything. If you borrowed $300, he would let you know that it was $300 and not $309 owed back by now. He was like really very rigid in his relationship, and never loving, never kind, never generous. And you felt obligated, and he put the pressure on to make you feel like total crap, that you needed anything from him. And so it raised me to believe that I could never trust a man, that I could never believe that a man would actually support me wholeheartedly. And therefore I sabotaged every opportunity for a man to fully show up for me, because I just deep down didn't believe that a man could fully show up for me. And most importantly, this is wild. It was about me judging the masculine version of myself, judging my ability to show up for me. And so it sabotaged my own outward momentum of being successful and having consistency and showing up for myself and like being an adult and all the ways I needed to be adult. It was all sabotaged by myself, because I deep down had deep, deep, deep insecure beliefs around myself and my abilities, my gifts, because it was all kind of covered, this huge blanket of shame around my childhood trauma. And so that's my story. And I speak about it today to be really honest and to give all the women out there that have done this over giving, overcompensating. And is it trauma led? Is it a place of, you know, gosh, I just want so badly to be supported that I will do all the supporting just to be perceived that I have this person in my life and accept them because I need somebody by me in order to feel safe and secure. You know, that was my dad. That was my mom all along. But deep down they didn't have the right partnership ever. And they showed their children how to have the wrong relationship and what the wrong relationship looks like. And that just is so painful to do to your children and to show your children that. Your children need to see you work through stuff. Your children need to see you work through your curriculum. Your children need to see you where you struggle and to explain this is what it's about and how and watch you overcome it and watch you heal. And like that's powerful to show your children that and to be honest and disclosing and like here's the full picture. So they learn like, oh, life isn't perfect. And yes, I put the work in. And yes, I can evolve, heal, and grow. And so that's the difference in my parenting now versus the way I was parented. So I'll just move back into, what is the constraining story that you might hold? I just want to ask a few questions now to really make this not about me. I bring my story forward so that you can have a clearer understanding of where I'm speaking into and what I'm speaking about. So, is there a constraining story that's holding you back from the greatest love that you could possibly have? Because we don't have to ditch the relationship we're in to heal or to change the relationship. In fact, if you know you have a partner that wants growth and you're just stuck in feeling like bored, you're stuck in questioning if they can grow because that women can get in that trap a lot where they believe that they grow all the time but their partner doesn't grow at the pace that they grow. Well, that could just be a story or a limiting narrative that is holding you back from allowing them to grow at their pace and you to grow at your pace and to recognize growth is happening. And so, I don't know what the limiting story is because it's so uniquely crafted based on your curriculum and what your spiritual lessons you're meant to learn in Earth School are. But I can tell you this that your relationship you're in right now is exact mirror to your Earth curriculum. And so lean in with curiosity instead of just throwing out the baby with the bathwater like a lot of people do. This isn't working for me. I'm getting rid of it. And then they just cut it off and they move on really fast. And then they realize like later down the road, you will find yourself caught. Hi, Cynthia. You'll find yourself caught in a relationship that you're finding the same feeling tone all over again in the same like, oh God, it's the same pattern all over again. How do I deal with this? Well, then you'll know that is your spiritual curriculum. So it's like, hi, love. I love you so much. It's my cousin. She's on right now live. Just want to say hi. How can I ask for space to grow without coming across as selfish or needy? Thank you for asking this question. It is so important. So, where do we judge ourselves as selfish and needy when we're asking for our needs, right? Because everything is led around our needs. We have a true need to be met. We have a true need to be heard. We have a true need to be met in love. And so, where are you? And this is just for everybody. Thank you for being brave to bring that forward. Where do you judge yourself as needy? Where do you judge yourself as selfish? Right? Where are you holding a judgment towards yourself by asking, you know, how do I come across as selfish or needy? I'm afraid to. How do I ask for growth without it seeming like selfish or needy? Because it's never selfish or needy to want growth in your relationship. And you can really bring it forward as, hey, I want to present something to you, but I'm terrified to. Open the conversation in that way. Let your partner know, like, this is really important to me, what I'm about to bring forward. And do you have a capacity to hear me right now? Are you in a sourced place? Are you in a place where you can hear me right now? Or are you thinking about a million things and you're triggered right now? You need to check in and have a check in conversation. Is this the time to have this conversation right now? Does my partner have the bandwidth to hear me right now? Because if they do, they'll lean in and go, I'm here for you. I want to hear what you have to say. And then you can lead and open with, I'm so scared to tell you what I'm about to tell you. Can you just let me speak all the way through and really hear me? And most of the time, your partner is going to say yes. Majority of the time, they're going to say yes. Because that's putting them on radar. Like, oh wow, they're really opening up a very vulnerable, tender subject. And then you can say, I'm so afraid of being judged as coming across as selfish, but this is my true need. I have a need here. I want to grow with you. I want to know that we're both growing. And can we make some spiritual agreements to grow together? What are those? Yeah. So hopefully that is helpful for you, Cynthia. You can always comment and I can comment on what your comment is. Um, I'm going to get back to, this is often a barrier, right? Like where we hold back from this is the common thing around love is withholding. It's never what we think it is. It's where we withhold because we're afraid. And so where do we withhold from being truly vulnerable with our beloved? And that's, I used to withhold all the time. I would say I was okay when I really wasn't. And I would say, they would tune in because they could feel like something's wrong. And I would disclose just a piece of it. But I felt so unsafe disclosing the whole thing that I would just give little bits, just enough to have them feel like I was having a conversation with them, but I would never really reveal the whole part because I was truly terrified to be met there because I was terrified of being let down. I was terrified to see, oh no, this person can't meet me. I was so afraid that I wouldn't be met that I would never ever ever bring it forward, that I was terrified of that. And so gosh, and so that, to be honest there, to be really honest in that place is like, oh, it's so good because you're opening the heart to have God meet you and come through them and meet you there and say, we can bring love to this place that believes I can't be loved. And that takes you bringing the love. And so, what I love to do for my clients, and I'll reveal this now, is um, think about if you're a mom. Think about when you birthed your child, how much love poured through your vessel for that child. And you're looking into that child's eyes. And if you're not a mom, think about a puppy you loved or a kitten you loved. And you just unconditional love holding this little being or this little furry creature. And you're just loving them. So it's just your heart is bursting open with love. That love, I want you to think of that love, attune to that love. And then I want you to bring that over to the spot that feels needy, that feels selfish, that feels that you can't have your needs met, or that feels I'm too scared to reveal the truth. I'm too scared to look at this. Whatever that this is, bring that love to it and just pour love there. And like that's how we bridge the gap from the part that feels so unloved, that love is not living and existing in that space because it's just an exiled part of self. And so that's how we bridge the gap and start to bridge the gap into that place. It's there inside of you. It's not outside of you, it's inside of you. In the same place that you believe your partner won't meet you, you're not meeting yourself. Ding, ding, ding. Big. That is huge. And you could journal about this. You could go away from this show and sit down and journal. Where am I not meeting myself? Where am I judging my partner as not doing the work? And yet, where am I not doing the work? Like, ding, ding, ding. That's key ingredient. All right. So what really inspired me was this little phrase here, right? So the ego consisting of the mind, emotions, and material residing within the unconscious, has the propensity for taking life experiences and interpreting them such that the conclusions we draw become prison bars of limitation and restriction, holding us in the illusion of unworthiness. So I'll take me for as an example. I held myself in such unworthiness that it drove a wedge between my beloved and I. I deep down believed I was unworthy of a man's love. And that became my limiting story I lived by. Holy cow. Holy amazingness. Like, I lived by that story. It became the prison bars of my perceptual filter. Like, I saw through that lens of perception my whole childhood, my whole young adult years, and even into it was so amazing that God supported me. I kept letting go and letting go and letting go and letting go of all the toxic ways of being, making higher changes, committing to myself, committing to my soul's purpose, committing to my higher self, that it led me to untangle and choose a healthy relationship and a spiritually matched relationship. But still, it was still a limiting perspective, a prison bar in my perceptual filter that men can't support me. And I just am giving a women a big invitation into this because I've seen it in many of my clients, because this is a place where you can get free in your consciousness if you choose to. This is a place that you can really set yourself free to have the support and the love life you've always known you're capable of. And it starts with you. So this limiting prison bar of I can't be supported, I had to really start like expressing and clearing it and cleansing my lens of perception around how I hold it in my own consciousness. And that's how I got free. It wasn't it wasn't doing the work on the outer and then hoping it changes on the inner. It's the other way around. It's the outer proceeds from the inner, not the other way around. So we have to do the work on the inside around where the perceptual wounds are and where the perceptual limitations in our mind and our crystallized thought forms that are really crystallized inside from a tough thing we went through or a trauma spot we went through when we were 5, 7, 8, 9, whatever age we were, and we had a really traumatic event. Well, that event can sometimes become crystallized in our consciousness and become a pattern later as an adult. And then it surfaces over and over again as a wounded spot. Now I will reveal mine. My This is a really tender spot, but and it's okay. It's like I've really worked my process around it, but I was really, punished as a young one around time and money. And then that later showed up as issues with money later in my life as an adult. I became caught in a pattern of, and this is actually true in Eric Erickson's life stage cycle around age stage learning. You can see age stage 7 that it perpetuates as financial issues later in life. And so my trauma happened at age 7, a lot of it, and my like physical abuse. And it was also combined with a mental torture pattern around time and money. And so it really lodged in my consciousness as issues. And so I had a lot of cancel. I don't have that anymore, but I'm saying it really affected me deeply. And so much so that I'll admit this, that I had so much shame around this as a young one. I did not know how to tell time on a face clock until I was an adult. A young adult, but an adult. And it's because of the trauma. It was so bad in my consciousness that it was like Japanese. And because of the narratives that played out in my childhood, that affected me. But even deeper than that, the spiritual curriculum was there because I witnessed my parents have problems and issues in their own karma around sex and money. And that became overlaid in my consciousness, combined with my own spiritual curriculum imprints around how I was treated in my childhood with my father, particularly with a man. So I came in with a father wound. I came in as a soul with a lot of material to work out with men, with a lot, and with my own masculine principle inside, which is my relationship with God, right? There was a lot of clearing that needed to happen in that layer inside of myself. And so it showed up outwardly as issues with men, as issues with never being able to find the right relationship, never being able to have a good relationship with men, being timid, being scared. I would show up with this really timid, uncertain, fearful dialogue inwardly when I became around any kind of, and I had, it was just like so confusing to me around how to just have a clear relationship. And I didn't feel that way about women. I felt empowered when I was around women because I had such a close relationship with my mother. There was never a discord, even though there was things that happened that broke my trust in our relationship that I've worked through and that I've had to work through. My mother always showed up for me unconditionally. And so she did teach me unconditional love. And that's why I can unconditionally love, is because I learned it in my childhood. And just even if you've had parents that never taught you unconditional love, you can still attune to that because you are loving essence. And so it was profound knowing myself as confident in relationships with women, but not confident with men. And I just thought that I would die with that as a young one. I didn't realize that I would heal that in this lifetime. And I'm so thankful that that's not there in my world now. And in fact, I help couples now, and I work with couples to like work with them deeply to clear these patterns with the masculine and feminine within, because really we have to clear it on ourselves so that we marry the two, so that total congruence with God inwardly around the masculine and feminine. So you're not holding an issue in any way. And then therefore you can really have the right beloved relationship come into your life, and the holy relationship with God in your relationship with your beloved. And that's what we're going for. We're going for the highest expression of loving and love in your relationship with the beloved. And that's the gold we're mining for, is all the material in your consciousness that's been in the way of you having the relationship with the beloved. What's in the way? What are the barriers? What are the narratives I tell myself about relationship? What are the narratives that I tell myself in this marriage? Do I say, it's always going to be this way, nothing will ever change? Do I say, I'll never be met in the way I desire? Have you given up? Have you given up that your relationship is ever going to grow or evolve? Or have you become complacent because that's the comfort zone, because it's too scary to say, hey, I really have this deep need and I want to be met in this way? Or is it a place where you're distrusting them, or is it a place where you're distrusting yourself? And Andreas is asking a question, would that be possible for you? But I'm not, I would love to work with. Oh, yes. Yes, let's talk. Reach out and submit an application. Go to my website, dawnlightamora.com. Reach out, submit an application. I'm happy to talk with you. If you're interested in working together, you can reach out. Yes. So I'm sorry, I thought I was answering another question. So yes, I do work with men. I didn't for a long time, and now I'm open the field, and I am working with men and couples. So, woo, it's time. So, my beloved also works with we work together with couples. So, that's the new adventure on the table, which is exciting. So, really, I haven't even announced this as far as branding goes, but I'm really a holy union coach, which means holy union with the divine, holy union with God, and holy union with the divine beloved as partnership in your life, like your marriage, your relationship, long-term relationship, partnership. It doesn't have to be marriage. It's just partnership. Do you want the best partnership in the world? Do you want that soulmate connection, the divine, holy, expressed union where you're living out long term partnership and the happiest, most fulfilled relationship that you can possibly co-create with a beloved? Then, and that's all the areas, not just one or two. That's health, that's the best sex life possible, that's your holy relationship with God, your spiritual nature, that's your children, that's money, that's your career, your purpose, working together, not working together. Like, you paint that picture and you get clear on what that is. And so I'm going a little bit off topic, but I wanted to bring that in. So let's move back to the heart of the conversation because I want to lead us through a process. Um, and what's beautiful is, like, all of the barriers really come down to a big core curriculum. There's some major areas that Earth School curriculum reside in for all souls, and that is, unworthiness can be a really big one. There can be a lot of layers in our consciousness that unworthiness live, where we're really deeply buying into a limiting narrative inwardly that we're not worthy of love, where where maybe in our childhood we bought into a limiting narrative that I'm incapable of loving at that level, or I'm unlovable. Like, that was fully in mine. You know, when you're a child abuse survivor and you physically experience abuse, and this goes across the table for anybody that's ever in abuse, can come in all kinds of forms. Doesn't have to be physical. And I find, honestly, subtle, um covert, like, subtle, like, narrative language can be way more abusive than just outward physical abuse. Yes, I'm not condoning any of it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's the way to treat people at all, but I'm just saying, just because you didn't grow up in an abusive relationship or witness your parents be that way, and you might have had a great childhood, but your spiritual curriculum is still in there, and you might have had abuse come in the back door from a teacher or from an uncle or an aunt, or an experience you had, as an adult. Like, everyone's curriculum is unique to their own and what they're here to learn in the Earth School, but there's core curriculum as souls we choose and sign up for, and there's barriers in consciousness that have to do with unworthiness, can really be a big one in the Earth School. And it's up to us to lean in fully and commit to our relationship with spirit, God, all that is, the one that goes by the many names. It's a thousand and a million names. We're all speaking about the same thing. Love, love's consciousness. God is existing in us and through us. We're existing in the heart of God and God's consciousness. We are consciousness experiencing itself. And this is where we get in there and really lean in. Where are the barriers I hold in my consciousness against love? And they show up, guess what? In our perceptual filters, in our relationships. So, ding, ding, ding. Lean into your relationships. Even if you're not in a relationship, lean into the relationships you do have in your sphere. What are they showing you? And that's where you get to learn about your curriculum at that time in your life, no matter what time it is, because it's the now. It's always the ever unfolding present now. And so now is the moment to really unlock your consciousness. So, yeah. It's so fun. Like, I was a little bit like, okay, today's gonna be interesting, just having my own, like, I'm speaking the whole time, but it's great. And I'm so excited to guide you in a process. So I really wanna invite you right now, grab a pen and paper. This is a moment we're gonna explore your limiting narrative that you might be holding in your life and in your partnership. So, grab that paper. You can write, you can put your hand on your heart, you can talk. So I'm just going to guide us through a process now. So I really want to invite you forward into, setting a strong intention. Put your hand on your heart, attune to your inner counselor, and just right now you can set your intention to speak to your inner counselor, your higher self, the God within, and really ask for the material to be shown to you. Ask spirit to reveal to you where your limiting narrative lives in your consciousness. Beautiful. Now go ahead and center one more time, taking a deep centering breath. Just filling your belly, filling your heart. Your already beautiful open heart. You're already existing in God's consciousness, calling yourself forward into the light. We're already existing in the light, but calling yourself more forward into the light. Call your inner counselor in, invoke your inner counselor. Always be aware that you are loving essence, calmly experiencing everything your personality or ego is going through, regardless of your current thoughts, feelings, or behaviors. Consciously attune and look for the loving that is inside of you, for it is always present. Remember that you have all the inner resources necessary to effectively respond to your situation in life. You are empowered. I invite you to consider the story that holds you back, that's blocking you from taking initiative, trying something new, that holds you into fear of making a mistake, or judging what you produce as never good enough, or judging your own creative expression, or dismissing your gifts, or feeling like you aren't up for the task. And I'll read it again. I invite you to consider the story that holds you back, that blocks you from taking initiative, from trying something new. What holds you back? What holds you into the fear of making a mistake, of judging what you produce as never good enough, of judging your own creative expression, dismissing your gifts, or feeling like you're not up for the task, or etc. Attune to it. What comes forward when I read that statement? Listen. Listen with the ear of your heart. Spirit will tell you what is holding you back. What is the limiting story, the limiting narrative? You might hear it as words. I encourage you to identify any actions you may be engaging in, feelings you may be experiencing, or thoughts and beliefs you may hold about yourself or your partner that have supported this limiting narrative. I'll read it again. I encourage you to identify any actions you may be engaging in, feelings you may be experiencing, and or thoughts and beliefs you may hold about yourself or your partner that have supported this limiting narrative. Go ahead and explore the limiting story that your thoughts, feelings, and actions reflect and that do not support you in honoring and answering the calling of your heart. I invite you to share your limiting story out loud or in your journal. Where do I hold back or withhold love? What is the limiting narrative I hold? So go ahead and explore the limiting story that your thoughts, feelings, and actions reflect and that do not support you in honoring and answering the call of your heart. I invite you to share your limiting story out loud or in your journal. Where do I hold back or withhold love? What is the limiting narrative I hold? So I'll give you a clue. It usually involves fear, a sense of unworthiness, guilt, failure, doubt, or shame. So go ahead and explore the limiting story that holds that there might be thoughts, feelings, and actions that are reflected to you that do not support you in honoring and answering the calling of your heart. I invite you to share your limiting story out loud or in your journal. Where do I hold back or withhold love? What is the limiting narrative I hold? I'll read the clue one more time. It usually involves fear, a sense of unworthiness, guilt, failure, doubt, or shame. Okay, now I want you to move forward. I'm going to move forward for time's sake. You can always press pause, watch it again later. Once the live is done, you can go back and watch it as many times as you want. It will live in YouTube. So I invite you to identify the judgments underlying your limiting beliefs and misinterpretations of reality or misidentifications that are present. What are the judgments underlying your limiting beliefs, underlying your limiting story, misidentifications that are present? Where do you judge your partner? That's a really good place. Like, just let it rip on the paper. Where do I judge my partner? Where do I judge myself? I judge myself for. I judge my partner for. Just keep going. Let it rip on the paper. I judge myself for. I judge my partner for. I'll say it again. I judge myself for. I judge my partner for. Okay. Now I invite you to move into compassionate self-forgiveness with the truth is. So I encourage you in amplifying and fully expressing your truth is statements after you've compassionately self-forgiven yourself. So I'll lead. I forgive myself for judging myself as shy to love. I forgive myself as judging myself as withholding love. I forgive myself for I forgive myself for judging my partner as not willing to do the work. I forgive myself for judging my partner as selfish. I forgive myself for judging my partner as unwilling to grow with me. I forgive myself for judging my partner as fill in the blank. I forgive myself for judging myself as fill in the blank. I forgive myself for judging myself as fill in the blank. I forgive myself for judging myself as fill in the blank. Now, I want you to back it up with truth is statements, because the truth is we have a loving partnership and there's a barrier being presented. The truth is I love my beloved and I'm willing to see where I withhold. The truth is God is present in this relationship and I'm willing to see where I hold a barrier. The truth is I acknowledge my partner for the love they do bring forward. So keep saying it. The truth is attune to what the truth God is giving you about the circumstance. What is the truth around it? Not the limiting narrative. What is the truth? Everyone's doing such a beautiful job. When you are ready, I invite you to receive this blessing. I'm going to speak a blessing to you. So I just invite you, after you've finished your truth statements, close your eyes and attune to your heart and let this in. And you can even repeat after me if you'd like. In this moment, we ask for the light of the Holy Spirit to lift, clear, and cleanse any limiting beliefs, judgments, or misunderstandings that have fostered the false narrative. I invite you to breathe blessings of self-compassion and compassionate self-forgiveness into the places where the false narrative was held. I invite you to take in a nice deep breath, receiving that breath in all levels of your consciousness and in every cell of your body, lifting, cleansing, and clearing whatever can be lifted at this time. And with your next breath, I invite you to breathe in strength of heart and the courage to move forward, making soul-honoring choices in harmony with the calling of your heart. Peace, be still, and know that you are the presence of love, worthy of sharing the gifts you came to share. Now, I invite you to attune to your sacred intention in your relationship. Close your eyes and attune to your heart. What is your relationship intention now? What is your intention towards love in your relationship? Hear it, attune to it. What is present for you in your heart now? After doing a clearing, what is present? What is your sacred intention moving forward with love in your relationship with your partner? What is your intention with yourself, with God, all that is, with spirit? What is your intention? Attune to that. Pull it close. Tuck it in the pocket of your heart. Hold it close. It's right here. Honor it. How does it want to be honored moving forward? Are there any action steps presented that you know you need to take for yourself to honor yourself and to honor your relationship? Are there any action steps? So, how was that for everybody? That was amazing to give. um, what a beautiful process, right? And I just want to honor my teachers right now. Ron and Mary Holnick from University of Santa Monica. This is a spiritual psychology process. Many tools and things wisdom I share is spiritual psychology processes. Hands down game changer, changed my life, changed my marriage, created a role reversal in my marriage. The content I brought forward today was my life experience, and what I share about is always through the lens of my life experience mixed with spiritual psychology. And so it's just my greatest passion and heart's desire to help women get free and relationships get free so that you can have the beloved living, existing in the heart of the beloved, where you're free and you feel that purpose, that your life is purpose driven, that you feel it, you feel on purpose, you feel like you're living God's purpose. That is the key ingredient to unlocking your entelechy, what you've come here to live and embody through. And so your life purpose, your personal work in the world, and your highest and best relationships. Who doesn't want highest and best relationships? Yes, I do. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're almost at the hour, so I just want to share, first say thank you. This show has been such a beautiful testament to like living in the heart and doing purpose work. And I'm so thankful for this show. It's a weekly attunement, it's a weekly commitment, and I'm so committed to sharing the best of me with you and to helping your life get better in every way. And I just truly desire that in my heart to like help you prosper in your life. And so I'm so excited to announce, well, if you're interested in joining the Facebook group, please do. We would love to have you come in. It's for women. The Facebook group is for women. But I do have an amazing announcement this coming week. It's coming up fast. It's the 15th through the 18th. It's the Sovereign Queen challenge or activation. And you're going to get a deep dive into my life's journey, my work. You're going to learn about patterning. You're going to learn about trauma. You're going to learn about all the age stage healing. You're going to learn about what a queenly way of being sovereign in your life and in your relationships is. And that way we get to untangle from all the codependent patterns. We get to untangle from all the ways we've not supported ourselves. And we get to get a new vision of what you truly want in your relationship. And that's stretch into that and feel it and attune to it. So there's going to be activations, meditations, personal daily work, gifts. I'm going to give away gifts and prizes every day and one huge prize at the end. So it's the 15th through the 18th. Come attune and receive your queenly sovereign attunement and activation with me. Hands down a game changer for women. I am supporting you to break free of all the places where you withhold from love, all the places in your consciousness that you hold barriers to love, all the places you've held distrust in your relationship or in your beloved or in yourself around your own gifts. This is a place where you get to embody that and remove those layers like an old coat. Learn to take them off and just be like, wow, I'm free in my consciousness so that I can be free in the outer world reality. It starts on the inner and then it proceeds into the outer. And so, yeah, I'm just excited to have you. It's such a joy. I love this work. I love supporting women. And I really just, it's from my heart to yours. Please come join me. It's such a heartfelt experience. And I hope you have an amazing week and weekend. And the Sovereign Queen is happening next week. I'm really excited. So come join us. And without further ado, I just want to say thank you to all our supporters, Scott Katamas, Love Coach Academy, Global Peace Tribe, our lovely VAs. I love you so much. You support us every week in making this show happen. I want to personally thank you. Trish always does the thank yous. So I get to do it this week. And I just say, thank you so much. You mean everything to me. Bless your heart, bless your families, bless you in every way. And bless all our viewers. Like, thank you, viewers that attune to the Self Love Show. You make this happen. So you are the lifeblood of this wild, beautiful self-love experiment, right? And we get to experiment weekly and have great, deep, enriching conversations to better everyone's life. And I just invite you to keep going with it. Keep going in your self-love. Keep growing in your self-love. It does matter. Working on yourself does matter. Keep going. It's not selfish. Believe in yourself. Pour into yourself. Open the heart to the widest possible vast, expansive connection to God as possible, because that is the true reality. Our relationship with Source, divine, beloved, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing we're speaking about. And I just invite you into that deeper conversation always. And so if you're interested, reach out. I put my website in there, The Sovereign Queen, and the Facebook group. If you're interested in personal coaching, I have some space, little smidge of space, and let's have a conversation. And I'm so excited to launch the program and to have the Sovereign Queen. And just thank you for all the supporters. And most importantly, the most important person I want to thank right now is, guess who? Trish Wright. I love you so much. You're my bestie. Thank you for doing this show with me. I'm sorry you have technical issues, but I see your sweet face. I love you. I adore you. I can't wait to see you in person. And thank you so much for tuning into the Self Love Show. We have a great show next week. I love you. See you soon.